This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Sacramento Kings snapped a one-game losing skid with a 121-13 win over the Mavericks in Dallas yesterday. It was just the Mavs' third home loss of the season. De'Aaron Fox led the way with 28 points for the Kings. The Kings are on the road again tonight, a back end of a back-to-back against the Timberwolves in Minnesota. That's who plays in Minnesota. Our coverage of that one begins with game night at 3:30. Kings Live is at 4:30. Tip-off is set for 5 o'clock. The Raiders slid up the 2019 NFL draft board with a 30-16 loss to Jeff Driscoll and the Cincinnati Bengals yesterday in Cincy, while the 49ers knocked off the Seahawks 26-23 to snap a 9-game regular season losing skid to their division rival. It's 8:02. Peak Financial wants to talk retirement. Dial pound 250 and say the word money. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead.
I'm not letting you go to work today.
Wait, what?
Everybody, listen up.
Welcome to The Drive.
Morning.
You're gonna talk.
Get on the phone at 339-1140.
Pretty awesome, huh?
Jump in on our text line at 441140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
Kyle Madsen's Cold Hard Facts, brought to you by Coors Light, coming to you at 8:35. We'll go Kings right now and possibly some football after that. Your phone calls at 1-800-920-1140. And all of y'all brought to you on the Firewings hotline by Firewings. That makes sense. 21 different flavors to choose from. Firewings.com. Just wing it. Dave Yeager was asked a question last night. Before we get to these phone calls, I want to play it. I believe we have that audio, Kyle.
Fox and Hill both had 28 points tonight. Is it time to start mentioning them as among the NBA's best backcourts?
We can talk about that on a radio show.
So just in case you didn't hear, the reporter said Fox and Hield had blah, blah, blah points last night, 28 points each last night. This is time to start talking to them about as one of the best backcourts in the NBA. And I believe we have Dave Yeager isolated in his response to that reporter.
We can talk about that on a radio show.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that on a radio show. Well, I'm glad you helped us produce the show, Coach Yeager.
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
Unequivocally yes.
The drive question of the day, and you can feel free to chime in on this, taking everything into account: age, injury history, talent, of course, future, salary, control of the player, blah, blah, blah. If you had to start a team today and you got to pick backcourts, where are the Sacramento Kings right now? Where would you pick them in terms of backcourts? We've had a lot of answers on this. We'll read some of those, but I'm just kind of curious where the consensus, and obviously there's going to be some Kings bias here, but have they made it into the top 5? Are they just outside the top 5? Remember, not who's the best necessarily today, taking everything into account.
You're doing everything you can to give Fox and Hield the advantage.
I am.
Which is very good. Stack that deck.
Do you want to take into account youth? Also, maybe, I don't know, alphabetical order in some cases?
I think you also want to take into account current jersey color and if you fancy purple or not.
Right, yeah, exactly.
It's a big one. Hair.
Hair? How cool is the hair?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Alliteration of the name. You know, maybe you go see James Collum or Buddy Hield. I mean, which one do you want?
Alliteration.
Hi, Doug. Welcome into the drive.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I've been better.
I'm doing pretty well. Last week you had asked a question on fans and stuff and not filling up the arena yet. And I think that there's a couple factors there. One is there's quite a few people that are not bought in because they go as the wind blows. Until the Kings are actually clinched a playoff spot, will they start showing up? They're just not committed. They're not all the way in. The other ones is that people are disguised as Kings fans, and then they show up in their true colors when their team is in town. So that happens quite a bit. So on your question of point guard tandems, I still think with Thompson and Curry that they're still going to be in the top here for the next, if they stay together,
for sure,
the next 3 or 4 years. I think if somebody doesn't get traded out of the Bradley Beal, John Wall, I think they're going to be good as well. And also up there in Portland with
Lillard, McCollum.
Yes, those three. And then If Dennis Smith is healthy and stuff, him and Doncic, if that they call that a backcourt, they'll be around for a while. And I still think Fox and Buddy that would probably be your top five.
Okay, so I'm with you on your first three, but then let me ask you this: one that gets left out, but maybe it's because of age. Would you take Harden and Chris Paul over Fox and Buddy?
No, because they're going to be a quick. Paul gets hurt too much. It's dribble with James Harden, and I don't like the style of play. I have my own qualifier and stuff. I just like to see the guys getting up and down the court, passing the ball. Their assist numbers are good. They participate in rebounding, and they're kind of all-around players and stuff. I know that Harden gets triple-doubles and stuff, but I just don't like the style of play. I do like our style.
All right, and last thing, I want to go back to what you just real quick. Before you go, I want to go back to how you opened the show or your call. Were you saying that you have an issue with Kings fans that are going back and forth as to whether or not they buy in? I just want to make sure I understand what you were saying.
Yes, that's true because and you see it in any sport. They said when you see a hot team around, all of a sudden they start wearing their gear, and then if they lose, then what happens? I say that where I work at and stuff. I said, hey, how come you're not wearing your crap, man? You're here every time that they win, but once they start losing, you disappear. So there's a lot of fair weather fans that go in and they're just not committed to their team. I moved here in '88, and I've been a Kings fan. I cheer for wherever I live. Well, and that just makes me local.
No, and Doug, I appreciate that. This is a topic I've been eyeing for the last couple weeks.
I want to congratulate Doug, by the way, on being the supreme Kings fan.
Number one?
Yeah.
I've been looking at this topic the last couple weeks, and I haven't really broached it yet. That's why I asked him to go back to the beginning of his call. Because this is a thing. And there are many Kings fans that have never been through this before. You have a team that sucked for a long time. It's kind of like what Matt George was saying in the last segment about how national media and even local media start showing up more. Meanwhile, you have all these media that had to slog through every freaking game over the last 10 years when nobody cared. And you kind of get possessive. Like, where were you? Where were you, bandwagon media guy? Well, I hear this. I've seen this more and more amongst fans over the last couple weeks especially. The Kings are – they're not. I'm not going to say they're the darling of the NBA, but they're certainly one of the Cinderella stories this year. There are things being said about the Kings this year that have not been said in over a decade. And there are fans that are starting to say things like, I'm seeing a lot, like my neighbor is now a Kings fan, or look at all these brand new bandwagon Kings fans showing up, or get out of here, national media. I don't want to hear your articles. Where were you last year?
I was told that Kings will never have bandwagon fans, so please stop insulting.
Well, whoever said that is stupid because the Kings had a worldwide group of bandwagon fans when Vlade and Peja and Hito Turkoglu were really three of the, guys like Drazen Petrovic and a few others we could talk about, but really were laying out some of the footprints for the international game. This is before Yao Ming. So you have a lot of those fans already, and then they've had a decade plus of failure to go away. So as a Kings fan, I never really understood that. Like, I hate bandwagon fans. But do you want, how do you work that? That's a natural offshoot, and I think a negative about going from bad to good, is that Kings fans... It happens
to every team.
It does. Well, that goes bad to good. And now Kings fans can either be welcome on board. Here's some things you need to know. Welcome in. There's room on the bus. Or, and this is very similar in spirit to one of the people I dislike the most, and that's guy who was into a band before anyone else, and then as soon as the band gets good and people start showing up with the band's T-shirts, guy looks at other people with disdain and then starts claiming that his favorite songs are all B-sides. And you wouldn't know, you only listen to them on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
That happened with Pearl Jam in my lifetime. This also happened in mixed martial arts. I was into and I covered mixed martial arts before just about anybody in mainstream media. And then I would see a lot of MMA fans as the UFC grew say, look at that noob.
That's how soccer fans are. And hockey fans.
You're exactly right. And I don't like that. I don't like bandwagon fans, but I don't like even more those possessive xenophobic fans. It's like, yeah, dude, props to you for staying through thick and thin. Seriously, props to you. I'm not making a joke. But you know that. You have that. You don't need to go tell everyone that you were there back in 95 or you were there in 05.
Wait until the Kings are good for a while and people start calling you a bandwagon fan.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'll fight them.
Yeah.
I will.
You're going to feel the need to pull out credentials.
I will punch. Yeah, and if being attacked, well, no, what I usually do in that scenario is I'll just be like, you're right. Bandwagon guy here. That's me. Because that's hilarious. But I don't get it. I never got it. Who cares? The more the merrier. Now, please don't mistake. No, you can shove your hmms. Please don't mistake that as me saying being a bandwagon fan is okay. What I'm saying is that if you are a diehard fan that never left the bandwagon, you know in your heart of hearts who you are.
Right.
And you know who they are.
Right.
That should be enough. You don't need to rent a plane with the things that the trail behind the planes that says, banners, thank you, saying he's a bandwagon fan. You don't need to do that. We know. Who cares?
They're not taking as much joy in a championship as you are.
No, they're not. And we know that bandwagon fans are lesser fans and by proxy, most likely lesser people. We know this. You know it. It's okay. Hey, Mitch.
Hey.
Mitch in New Jersey.
I'm right here. How you guys doing? Merry Christmas.
Hey.
Hey, Mitch.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I think Fox and Kai Stein could be all-stars, and we haven't had that in a long time. They got to re-sign him long-term, not let him go like DeMarcus Cousins, who will be a free agent next year. And pretty soon we'll have a top backcourt, too. I think we had some backcourt. We had Fox and Duncan, fellow's name from Dallas Mavericks.
Wesley Matthews.
Either I'd rather have
DeAndre Jordan?
You talking about De'Aaron Jordan, the center with the Mavs?
He could be a free agent next year, but you got Kai Stein. He's younger. Let's keep him.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Mitch. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could. Who knows? I still don't think that's going to happen, but
that's an interesting, unique take.
To keep Kai Stein?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not to keep him, but that he's an all-star.
Yeah, I don't think he's an all-star. Hey, maybe he's an all-star guy.
I'm just glad we didn't get into the argument we seem to get into every day on this show. Marvin Bagley versus Wesley Matthews.
Yes. Tired of that argument. Who cares? Marvin Bagley's a king now. It's The Drive. Who's this? Hello. Talking to you.
Hey, this is Robbie.
Hey, Robbie. Welcome into The Drive.
Hey. Just wanted to give you guys a call. I'm actually a newly reformed Sacramento Kings fan. My wife and I made a deal that when we start having kids, I'm from Los Angeles originally, that I would give up my baseball and my basketball team, the Lakers and the Dodgers, and she would give up the Niners for the Packers. And I just wanted to call and say thanks to the Kings this year because we're trying to start having kids, and they're at least a fun team to watch. I really appreciate, the way that they play, how they have good chemistry. They're not stars yet, but they are stars in the making. So just wanted to call and say thanks and making this transition a little bit easier for me.
All right. Well, hold on just a second.
Arnold, I think is his name.
What was your name again? I'm sorry, it broke up.
My name's Robbie.
Robbie. Okay. There's a lot I need to dissect here. All right.
A lot to unpack.
You came from Southern California. And
yes, I'm a Los Angeles kid.
Okay. And you were a Laker and Dodger fan.
Yes.
And now who is your baseball team?
My wife actually just had my 31st birthday, and my wife bought me a Kings hat and a Giants hat.
Okay.
And
okay. So you married a good woman.
Yes, I did.
Let's get this out of the way. Your wife is a saint and dare I say a hero. So you have made the switch from Dodger to Giant fan, Laker to King fan?
Yes, the King to Lakers, the Lakers to Kings fan was a lot easier transition because they're so fun to watch. And I actually live in Sacramento, so I've been here for about 9 years now. Moved up here for her.
Okay.
And I just, that transition's easier. I want Sacramento to do well. I'm not leaving the town. I'm never going back to Los Angeles. Not a huge fan of LA, just to go visit my family, but I want our city to do well. So the Kings is an easy transition. I'm pretty sure my skin burned a little bit when I put the Giants hat on.
Listen, I hear you, and it is a lot to take in.
This is fascinating.
So you said you guys are about to start working on procreating and bringing new Robbies into this world?
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Maybe.
We are hoping. We've been married for about 7 years now, so we've figured that now that we actually like each other, maybe we can have kids.
Okay, and that's good news. Important question, and then I'll let you go, Rob. When you do bring children into this world, will those children be Kings and Giants fans?
They will be. That was our deal, is basically I'm a huge Packers fan, and there's no way I'm ever going to change. I know it's a bad season, but I still love them, still root for them. And my wife has made that transition. She has a Aaron Rodgers jersey. But we decided that when we have kids, I want to be able to go to games with my kids and root for them like my dad went with me. And I'm not going to drive to LA. So, I want to be able to go to Kings games with my kids and then go to Giants games with my kids. And, that's going to be a harder transition for me. It still hurts to say it, but, it's what I have to do.
So much like perhaps a father who had a spotty past, maybe committed a crime in his youth and had to serve time for it, I assume at some point when your kids are old enough to understand, you will take them aside and tell them that in your youth, before they were born, you had a spotty past when it came to sports history, but your wife, their mother, was able to turn you around, and you've spent every day of your life since then trying to make up for your transgressions in the past?
Essentially, and I'll probably say all that, and I'll also tell if I have a son, I will basically tell them, make sure that you find a woman that roots for the same teams as you, or else, they have a lot of power, and they will bend you to their will.
That's a great point. That's your Fire Wings call today. There's a lot to work through there, Kyle. It was very uncomfortable for me at times. This is a very uncomfortable segment because we're dealing with a lot of fan laws here.
They're going crazy out here.
And if somebody was calling Garden Grove Phil on his radio show in Southern California right now and saying that they used to be Kings and Giants fans and now became Dodger and Laker fans, I would absolutely drag that guy nonstop. But he's made the proper move. Now
I don't understand how, if you are and maybe he's not a diehard fan, and maybe he watched the Lakers passively and watched the Dodgers passively and called himself a fan, and now he's a bigger fan of the teams here. But I don't understand, if my significant other said to me, drop your Niner fandom and root for the Seahawks, I could never do that.
What about the Packers?
No,
But in Robbie's case, wife traded 49er, Laker, and Dodger.
No, she didn't.
And received into the family. Outgoing fandoms in the family were 49er, Dodger, Laker. That was the trade out. The receiving of that trade was Packer, King, Giant.
It's not about that. It's about it doesn't even have to. Can you imagine trying to pick up another team in? I'm assuming Robbie's in his late 20s, early 30s.
Sure.
Can you imagine trying to pick up a new team and become a diehard fan of a new team, particularly a rival of your old favorite team?
No, but
I would never. If I got bludgeoned into becoming a Seahawks fan or a Packers fan, we'll stick with the Packers. If I got bludgeoned into becoming a Packers fan, okay. Like, if I have to sit and watch the Packers instead of watching the Niners, like, all right, but I'm still going to be checking the Niners score. I'm always going to care. If they're in the Super Bowl, I'm going to root my tail off for them.
But I think there's times where you and I have to acknowledge that we might be different than the average bear, as tough as it is.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is I don't think that any diehard fan, not just you or I,
right?
But I don't think any diehard fan who is like, I will cut off a digit for my team to win a title. I don't understand how you can.
Feel free to stop me here.
Stop.
How long have you and your lovely girl been together?
Year and a half.
Without
a little over a year and a half.
And you love her. You
yes.
speak highly of her all the time. And without putting any dates or pressure on it, I'm sure you at your age have thought about perhaps one day marriage
yes.
and family
yes.
and all that with her. If she were to come
what
home.
If I was just like, stop. No. We talk about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
If she were to come home tomorrow and say, Kyle, I have something to tell you. I am a diehard Seahawks fan. And I'm a diehard Laker fan, and I've just never shared this with you. I know that's your job, and I've always been scared of this, but that is who I love, and I can't change it. And before we move any further in our relationship, I just need you to know I'm always going to be a Seahawk fan, and I'm always going to be a Laker fan. Do you continue your relationship?
That is a high level of deception and deceit that would make me very uncomfortable. If you could hide it from me for this long, that when she's at my house on Sundays working on stuff, she's actually streaming the Seahawks game and cheering very hard internally while I watch a Niner game, that would be a real blow to the trust we have established.
I've been married to my wife now for almost 12 years, and I have 2 beautiful children that she has given this world with very little help from me. I will tell you right now, I would have dropped my wife out of my life, and she is, by the way, far more prettier than I.
Big fact.
It would have never happened. I couldn't have handled it. If my wife was a Laker fan, a Dodger fan, couldn't happen. Gator fan.
Right, because you can't despise this person.
No.
Like that,
I would have despised my wife. It would have just
that's
happened.
A person you just kind of, you're like, ugh.
I see families that have the bumper stickers of the rival teams on the back. I see families, I have friends whose wives are fans, and like if their teams are playing each other, she'll be like, right on, haha, in your face. Yeah, that wouldn't work with me.
Nope, me neither.
But props to Robbie. Robbie's getting dragged, by the way, on the text line. Hard.
I told Eunice that was going to happen.
I mean, I support Robbie. Why? Because he's seen the light, and we grabbed a fan.
Hey, Frank Mason actually just called in.
Yeah?
And he's reading the text line right now, and he has some thoughts on it.
They're going crazy out here.
Yeah, they are. Oh, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Frank. We appreciate you. When we come back, Kyle Madsen has some Coors Light, cold hard facts, brought to you by Coors Light, which makes sense. We'll do that next on The Drive, Sports 1140 KHTK.
This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Sacramento Kings snapped a one-game losing skid with a 120-113 win over the Mavericks in Dallas last night. De'Aaron Fox led the way with 28 points as the Kings handed the Mavs just their 3rd home loss of the season. Sacramento's road trip continues tonight against the Timberwolves in Minnesota. Our coverage of that one begins with game night at 3:30. Kings Live is at 4:30, and then the G-Man comes in for tip-off at 5 o'clock. The Raiders slid up the 2019 NFL Draft board with a 30-16 loss to Jeff Driscoll and the Cincinnati Bengals yesterday in Ohio. The 49ers, meanwhile, fell down the draft board some with a 26-23 overtime win over the Seahawks. That snapped a 9-game regular season losing streak against their NFC West rivals. It's 8:30. Peak Financial wants to talk retirement. Dial pound 250 and say the word money. Those are your top stories. Back to the Drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Here we go. The Drive continues now.
Before we get to Kyle's cold hard facts, brought to you by Coors Light, a couple of things. I asked on Twitter for smart people to do this for me. The youngest teams in the NBA, the Knicks, have an average age of 23 and a half. Chicago Bulls are at 24.1. Kings and Nuggets at 24.5. Somebody had put that out there to show that the Kings and Nuggets, for how young they are, way ahead of schedule. Now, I don't know if this happened or not, but I'm assuming the Kings' age at 24.5 is inclusive of Zach Randolph because he's technically on the roster. but I don't know that for sure. So I put out a call for somebody out there. I'd like to get the average age of the team figured out to the decimal, like they have here, to the 10th, without Zach Randolph. I need to know if that 24.5 includes him or if it doesn't. And because if it does, I think that's very important because he has not played 1 minute for the Kings this year. They're actually younger than that number, or if that number is not inclusive of Zach. So
I don't think it's going to knock that many percentage points off.
I think it might knock a good 3-4 tenths. He's 30-something, mid-late 30s. Also, before we get to the voice guy here, Kyle, I oftentimes question myself. I'm going to put this out to you. Appropriate or inappropriate?
Inappropriate.
As I was downstairs, a fellow lady coworker of ours that I know.
Inappropriate already.
Okay, so she was walking in and she complimented me on my I'm wearing a Christmas Story shirt today, and she was wearing like a red pantsuit. She said, I love your shirt. And I said, I love your pantsuit. And then she passed me, and I noticed that, and this has happened to all of us. She had like a dust ball. What's the stuff you take out? Lint ball that was on her back, but it wasn't. It was like her back, but it was the lower end of her back, right? Like a little too close for comfort, if you know what I mean. So I don't go there, because what I said is, I said, hey, hold on a second. I said, you have a lint ball on your back. And I said, give me your hand, because I'm not going to brush it off. It's a little too close. And she gave me her hand, and I directed it to where the lint ball was, which was, I would say, lower back, but not yet, not that low. And then she brushed it off herself and said, hey, thanks, good looking out. That's okay, right? Like, there was no touching on my part other than guiding the hand to said lint ball to brush it off. And I would want people to point that out to me. Like, if I had a lint ball or a hair or something going on, I would want that pointed out. I just didn't know how to handle it, so I kind of panicked.
Yeah.
I felt like
you did.
I felt like
you could have been like, hey, you got a lint ball on your back.
Right, but it was, she couldn't see it, though.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay, if it's that important, then they can figure it out.
I felt like I was doing a good thing.
Sure.
With my heart in the right place and with no chance of inappropriation. Not a word.
Okay.
But I still feel kind of...
Yeah, so much so that you brought it here.
I don't know what the rules are. I mean, I think I know what the rules are, but I try to do the right thing is what I'm saying.
Okay.
You're not making me feel better.
Okay.
You're making me feel worse.
Okay.
Let it be known that in this time of need of mine for a little backup and reinforcement, Kyle Madsen was not there for me. And it's sometime in the future, you're going to need a reciprocation. I'm going to recall this.
Okay.
Great, my wife just texted.
Is it in relation to what you were just talking about?
I'm just going to walk over to the window so people know this isn't a bit.
Dave is walking towards me now. He's showing me. That's awesome.
That's my wife. Let's get some.
She's the best. Wow.
No, she's not. Let's get some cold hard facts brought to you by Coors Light. Love you.
It's time for the Coors Light cold hard fact of the day. Here's Kyle Madsen.
Today's cold hard fact.
Here we go. Why are you looking at her lower back? Okay, you know what? All of you, get off of me.
Today's cold hard fact.
Idiots.
Is something that Richard Sherman said yesterday after the 49ers game. He said, Nick Mullens has stepped up to the moment week in and week out, and he's showing he can play in this league. I just hope we can keep him because teams need a quarterback. He went on to say that Mullens is not playing conservative football and managing games. He's making the right read, making the right throws, and playing like a top half NFL quarterback. And he's not wrong. Mullens is 3-3 as a starter. He's completing 64.5% of his passes. His 8.6 yards per attempt would be one of the top marks in the league. And he has a 96.0 passer rating. A passer rating is a little wonky now because of the shorter completions and the way what passer rating values. But all of his numbers are in line with some of the league's top quarterbacks. I extrapolated his numbers out over 16 games. This is through 6 starts. He would be completing 64.5% of his passes with that 8.6 yards per attempt, with 4,600 yards, almost 4,700 yards, 27 touchdowns and 16 picks. There are a lot of teams that would take that.
So,
and it's a cold, hard fact that Nick Mullens is playing like a top half quarterback. I'm not saying that he is necessarily, because getting out of Kyle Shanahan's system, getting into a scenario where a team is relying on you to take them to the playoffs is much different than, hey, coast us to the finish in one of the best offensive systems in the league. But Richard Sherman did not tell a lie.
Okay, so where we, I mean, other than that, are we going to a quarterback controversy between Mullens and Garoppolo next year? Or is Mullens this year's low-grade version of Nick Foles to Garoppolo's Carson Wentz?
Yeah, only Nick Foles took him to a Super Bowl, and Nick Mullens is trying to get him to 4 wins.
Thus low grade. I mean, basically what it is, okay, so you've got 2 guys that can play quarterback. One that you're hoping is going to be a superstar, and one that you say, okay, well, this guy knows the system, and we'll keep him around and maybe pay him a little bit of coin, but nothing crazy.
He is a very good backup. I would take him over like Blaine Gabbert or Nathan Peterman or I don't know who else. Pick a backup.
Okay.
AJ McCarron.
Well, then let me reverse this here. Let me just play devil's advocate. Why shouldn't there be not a controversy, but why shouldn't there be a quarterback competition going into next year?
Because Nick Mullens is limited physically, and you can see that. You saw him miss a couple of wide open throws down the field yesterday. He can't get the ball with any pace outside the numbers. He does not throw a very good deep ball, and that's something that Jimmy Garoppolo does. It handcuffs the 49ers playbook quite a bit, and you're going to see a different level of this offense with Garoppolo under center that Mullens just can't reach.
Do you think that Garoppolo should automatically be the starter going into next year?
Yes. That is
there shouldn't be an open competition.
I will openly scoff at the idea that that's not the case. They're going to say, oh, it's open competition at every position, but Garoppolo is going to come into camp and show that he is the vastly more talented quarterback.
From the 916, including Zach Randolph, the Kings are at 24.76471. Without Zebo, they are at an even 24. It's interesting. I mean, okay. I personally, listen, I think Jimmy Garoppolo should be the starter next year.
Yeah,
of course I do.
It's not a question.
But I don't understand why, especially the guy coming off an injury, especially a guy who's been a backup to Tom Brady his whole career. I understand the cash implications. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand why going into next July and August, why it's not an open competition, though.
Okay, fine. It can be.
That's all I'm saying.
In your world, it can be. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to win that in week 1.
Okay. Okay.
That's what if Garoppolo comes in and can't complete a pass, is just throwing every ball in the dirt. Okay, then we can talk.
What if Nick Mullens has a better camp than Garoppolo? And then their number splits through preseason, Mullens is not, I won't go as far as to say dominant.
It's not going to matter.
It wouldn't matter. So in your mind,
because he's not getting first team reps in practice, he's not getting first team reps in games. It's not an open competition. They're going to say it is. They're going to do the thing where it's like, oh, all 53 spots are open.
I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing, because I don't disagree with the thing you're saying.
Uh-huh.
I don't.
Uh-huh.
I'm saying, should it be?
No.
You don't think Mullens should be given an opportunity to win the starting job over Jim Garoppolo through training camp and preseason? I'm not saying he will. I'm saying given the opportunity.
No. Okay. He is too physically limited with what he can do on the football field. He is a dynamite backup and could start for some NFL teams that are hurting for a quarterback.
I didn't have my headphones on. When I walked over to the window to show you the text message from my wife, I just assumed, did you not share the text message with the audience?
Oh, no. I didn't know.
That was the point.
I thought you were going to say
Now that's why I'm getting people on the text line saying, what'd she say?
Sorry. I thought you were saying, showing me, then you were going to read it, and you showed me so people would know.
That's my fault, because always err on the side of privacy. My wife just simply texted me the word divorce.
And I believe it was in all lowercase, which makes it even funnier.
From the 916, I'm going to walk over to the window so you know I'm not doing a bit. Shows text message to Kyle. Both laugh. Do not share with audience what was funny. We weren't going to think that was a bit, Dave, because that would have sucked. That's a great point.
That's our new bit is inside jokes that we don't let the audience in on.
All right. We got to go now?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Right now.
Okay, I got one thing. Just a question and then we'll go to break.
If you hadn't spent the first 5 minutes doing that weird thing you were doing.
No, it wasn't weird.
It was.
You know what? We'll take a break.
That you brought it up.
When we come back, don't do the research, Kyle, just off the top of your head. There is one letter in the alphabet. There's one letter in the alphabet that does not appear in any of the 50 states' names. Which is it? We'll be back in a couple minutes. Sports 1140 KHDK. Did you figure it out?
I think so. I honestly didn't really even think about it.
Yeah, because it's kind of obvious once you get it, but there's one letter that does not appear in any state name. Only one letter.
I think it's Q.
It is Q. Even X's make an appearance with Texas.
Yep. And Z's for Arizona. Y in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. If Team USA, and we could argue about this, but Andy Bailey, who is a great follow on Twitter, he says if you made Team USA, for example, Steph Curry, James Harden, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Anthony Davis, what world all-star team would have the best chance at beating them? I think the answer, first off, is none of them would. But there's a number of nominees that's caught my eye. For example, Ben Simmons, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Porzingis, and Joel Embiid. I don't think any of them. I don't think the question is what world all-star team could beat Team USA, because I don't think that exists. But what would be your world all-star team? And doesn't Kyrie Irving, where was Kyrie Irving? Why do I feel like Kyrie Irving was not born here? Is that correct?
I don't think so.
Was Kyrie born here?
I think he was.
Wasn't born in like England or something. I don't know why that's
maybe.
I don't know why that's in my head.
Now that you said that sounds right.
What's on tap brought to you by
airplanes. Nay, phone booths.
Phone booths?
Yeah. Or phone beeth.
Oh, he was, is that the plural?
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving was born in Australia.
Australia, there it is. See, I knew it and told you. Stupid.
Phone booths. Hey, remember phone booths? Great place to get out of the rain.
Great place to turn into Superman.
Yeah. Phone booths. Find one today. Probably have to go to England.
Kyrie Irving was born.
The Sacramento Kings. It's so funny. We go like 5 days without games. Remember we had that crazy stretch. The Kings take on the Minnesota Timberwolves for the second time in just about a week tonight. 4:30 pregame, 5 o'clock tip right here on the sporty 1140. The Timberwolves are 13-16, but 11-4 at home. And they're playing the Kings 9-7 away. They are 16-13. The line on this game.
Timberwolves minus, because they're at home. Timberwolves minus 1.5 points.
The Minnesota Timberwolves are favored by 8.
Oh, my God. Kings plus 8 is easy money. Don't bet.
The over-under.
But if you do.
The over-under on this game.
200.
Do you remember what the score? Let me just for reference.
Yeah, no, it was at 141-130.
That is correct and scary that you kind of knew that, but okay. That's really weird. You knew that. Good job.
260. 260.5.
The over-under on this game is 233.
God, over in Kings plus 8.
So here's the thing.
Like
this is funky.
It's like free.
Something's going on that we don't know about.
Yeah.
That's
like the Niners being 3.5 point dogs going into yesterday.
Would you say it was 141 to 130?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 271 about a week ago.
Yeah. That's where I got 260.5.
So we're at almost a 40-point difference on the over-under. And the Kings are 8-point underdogs to a team they just beat at home less than a week ago. That tells me something's going on we don't know about, Kyle. Someone's not playing. Someone's going to play. Vegas isn't stupid. They know something. And I don't want to read too far into it, but that is a big line on both ends. Well, a small line and a big line. That's a big number. Kings plus 8.0. Warriors host the Grizzlies tonight. Trailblazers and Clippers. So if you're playoff watching, there's a lot of maneuveration. Also, NFL Monday Night Football. It'll be an entertaining one, I would think. The New Orleans Saints versus the Carolina Football Panthers. Panthers 6-7, Saints 11-2. That is a 5:15 kickoff. I have the Panthers in an upset. Kyle has the Saints. New Orleans favored by 6.
Yeah, I like the Saints -6. One touchdown sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a touchdown and a field goal.
Oh, let's see. I mean, it is the second game of a back-to-back for the Kings. A Sega Baba, as the bloggers say. I don't know.
Did you see the tweet I posted during the break?
No.
Can I read it to you?
Please.
Who are you taking? Quarterback A.
Oh, is it one of these?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
67% completion rate.
Uh-huh.
4,400 yards, 27 touchdowns, 12 picks.
Hold on. 67%. How many yards?
4,400.
Uh-huh. What's the touchdown?
27.
12
picks.
12. Okay.
7.8 yards per attempt.
7.8.
Quarterback B.
Yeah.
64.5 completion. This is the quarterback B is Nick Mullens. 4,677 yards, 27 touchdowns, 16 picks, 8.6 yards per attempt.
Definitely taking quarterback A. Just because quarterback A is probably pretty good.
That's Kirk Cousins per 16 in Washington. His 3 years in Washington. That got him $84 million guaranteed.
Yes, it did. And by the
Fully
way,
guaranteed.
And by the way, not for nothing, but Nick Mullens does not have Dalvin Cook, Latavius Murray, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, and Kyle Rudolph.
No.
Nick Mullens has that guy.
However, he does have George Kittle.
Yeah, he has George Kittle and a bunch of undrafted rookie free agents and other people and stuff, and Dante Pettis. Let's clean up the text line. Everyone's
Nick
saying
Mullens is better than Kirk Cousins is my point.
Nick Mullens greater than signed Kirk Cousins. Wow. People pointing out that the large line on there is because the Kings are so terrible in back-to-backs. From the 916, the things you guys text me seriously to finish a show. It's always so fun. Macaroni and cheese with eggnog instead of milk. Dave, it's a must-try. Yeah, no. I'm not doing it. You know why? Because I enjoy macaroni and cheese. I don't need nutmeg in it. And usually I'm a guy that'll try anything.
What was it?
Macaroni and cheese, but instead of using milk, you use eggnog.
Gross. I'm out on that. I like eggnog, too. I had an eggnog latte on the way to work.
Yeah, I don't like eggnog either, but...
Ugh.
Yeah. Dave, is wrestling considered a sport?
Yes.
With WWE tonight? I have this is a complicated answer. When we're talking about WWE, this is my opinion.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be with you.
I believe these are top flight athletes.
Yes.
What they do is an athletic wonder, yet to me it is not a sport because the outcome is already scripted.
Okay, that's fair.
And I'm not trying to throw shade. In fact, I'm trying to compliment them.
No, they are incredible athletes.
I'm in awe of what they do, and it is amazing entertainment, sports entertainment, whatever you want to. But it is a sport to me has to be a competition in which the outcome is not set.
It's effectively saying that, football is a sport because have you seen Any Given Sunday?
Have I? Yeah.
That's just.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Sports are sports because the outcome is not predetermined. These are high-level athletes acting. And that's my rant for today.
All right. Kings tonight, and we'll have that. We'll have all that tomorrow. Also, Matt Barrows will join us, and we'll talk about the Niner victory over the weekend. We didn't get to the Raiders today much just because I don't really want to rub it in. But we do have a possible location that I don't know that we spoke on. That actually makes a lot of sense for the Raiders to play next year. And it's kind of dumb that we didn't think about it. Because we named off like Cal, Stanford.
Can't believe we didn't say Candlestick Park.
Thank you. Yeah, how could we possibly do that? All right. Eunice does a great job, and we appreciate her. We'll take the fourth caller right now at 339-1140. And with that fourth caller, I don't know what we'll do because Kyle just gave me I can do it. Okay, thank you. Kyle is gesticulating wildly. You'll get a family 4-pack to see Monster Jam, the most action-packed motorsports experience for families in all the world. Coming to Golden One Center January 18th through 20th. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. All cage-to-cage giveaways powered by RosevilleAutomall.com. Fourth caller right now for Eunice, for Kyle, for me. We'll see you tomorrow. Jim Rome is next right here on Sports 1140 KHTK. Bye-bye now.